Hello beautiful people, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. I am very tired and this video is coming out very late because I have had the craziest past couple of weeks, what with exams and studying and college life. It is very hard and very stressful, but I am still trying to put out content for you guys as frequently as I can. So in the coming weeks, if content is a bit delayed, please bear with me. My life is crazy and the month of November is probably going to be literally insane. So I will do my best to push out content for you guys as much as possible, but there's a lot going on, so just hang on for the ride, I suppose. One of the things going on is actually pertaining to this month's theme, and I'm certain by now that I've talked about it so much on this channel, but just in case I haven't mentioned it enough, I am so very excited because this month I am going to New York with the marching band that I'm a part of, and we are partaking in the Macy's parade, and this in itself is literally insane. It's a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to do something like this, and I've also always wanted to go to New York, so technically it's actually two dreams come true in one, which is insane in itself because it's literally the biggest parade in the country, and it's incredible. Like, millions and millions of people are gonna see me on TV with my marching band, of course, but still. It's insane, and I haven't processed it yet, and I am so super duper excited. I cannot put into words how excited for this trip I am. So hopefully putting it in my bullet journal will help give you an idea. That is, of course, why I themed this month after New York. This was kind of hard to come up with spread ideas for. I knew right off the bat what I wanted to do for the cover page. I knew I wanted to do something with the skyline, and I really wanted to try to make it like my little VHL style art prints, or not prints, but like art that I do, because I think it's really fun to do that and I thought it would look super cool. But obviously I didn't want to carry that through the entire theme because then it would be more 80s than New York, I think, and plus I would have to just keep drawing the New York skyline over and over, which I did one more time, I think, but it's in a different context and you'll see in a minute. And then I just put a fun little sunset behind it here, and I really enjoyed it. But overall, I think the aesthetic for this is more Art Deco because that is what I tend to think of after the skyline when I think of New York. When I think of New York, the first thing that comes to my mind is obviously the skyline. So that is what I wanted to make the cover page, and I, again, just thought it would be super cool to make it in this style. I thought it would be a fun little artwork, and I really enjoyed it. But the second thing that comes to my mind is, of course, the retro-looking Art Deco style architecture, which I tried to incorporate as much as humanly possible throughout the spreads, which you will see when we get there. I also have this really cool gold acrylic paint now that I just got, and I thought it would be a lot more pigmented than it is, so that's mildly annoying. But I'm gonna work with it and hopefully figure out how to make it work for me the way I want it to. We'll see. If it doesn't, it was a waste of $5. Who knows? The quote that I chose for this month is somewhere between living and dreaming, there's New York. And it's very cheesy, but I love cheesy quotes. And I think it looks super cool. I like the font that I ended up going with for the quote. It's basically just a regular like serif font, and I think it looks good. And then of course I did New York in cursive because you have to be extra for New York. I also, if you didn't already notice, carried over the same color palette from the sunset to the quote page, just because I thought it would look pretty and add some continuity. So here we are again with a different edition of the New York City skyline. I also painted the main calendar portion of this black. I messed up on the measuring with the dots that I use for the grid for the calendar. Just a smidge. I think I got off counting in the center line. I do that sometimes, but I think I made it look really good, so we're gonna pretend like it was intentional from the beginning. And then here you can really start to see the gold part of this color palette come into play, because I did use that gold acrylic paint to color in the New York skyline here, which is definitely, it's much more 2D and not as detailed as the last one was, I would say. And I am fully aware that the Statue of Liberty is very much not proportional to the rest of this skyline. However, I was unable to bring myself to change it because it looked super good and I was happy with it, and it's my journal. So if you would like to file a formal complaint, it will be ignored because it's my journal and I'm happy with the final product. And then I switched over to my gold gel pen to do this like Broadway style font, which I'm actually very happy with how it came out, and the numbers for the calendar. My mood tracker, I am going to definitely not know the names of most of these buildings that I put in here, but I believe this is the Chrysler building. Don't quote me on that. I'm not at all positive, but it is. I literally just Googled Art Deco architecture in New York and this popped up the most. And the fun fact, by the way, this building, the little triangles that I assume are windows on the actual building, there is the perfect amount for the month of November for each of them to be a day in my mood tracker, which means there are 30 of them. And obviously there's like a big spire on top, but I didn't have room to put that, so I didn't. I think it looks super good. I think you can tell what it is if you know what the Chrysler building looks like, which I can't say that I did before this project. However, I do now. And I'm very happy with it, and I'm also still very happy that there was just the perfect amount of triangles. And then in the background I just did this kind of like gray-green color again, because I thought there was far too many warm tones on the page and I wanted to kind of counteract it. Over here, this was probably the most annoying page that I did in this entire spread, because there's so many lines that I was obsessed with getting perfect that I then ended up messing up later anyway. It's fine. Everything is fine and great and dandy, because I always have this to look back on when it was perfect before I colored it in. I didn't mess it up too bad when I colored it in, but it was super hard to keep the precise lines with the Tombow. I probably could have gotten a ruler and been super extra about it if I really cared that much, but I didn't. So I still think it looks pretty good. And then I colored in the background with this dark blue here. I did that first, which is smart, because if you're going to use watercolor and Tombow, even though I wasn't putting the Tombow directly on the watercolor, it would have, there was always the risk that if I did the watercolor after the Tombow and it smeared onto the part where I colored with the Tombows, it would smear the ink and then it would likely bleed through to the other pages, which would be annoying in itself. And then I would also have smeared ink, which is not good. And especially because the ink is mostly black, it would have been very ugly and annoying. So, pro tip, always do watercolor first if you're going to put a water-based marker of any kind over it, because otherwise you will have problems and it will be annoying. So here is your formal warning. I also kind of followed this rule with the gold gel pen. It's not nearly as bad about it as the Tombows, but I like to be on the safe side just in case, which is why you saw me backtracking back to the mood tracker to do the title. I didn't forget, I just really wanted the paint to dry down first. This page was literally my worst nightmare. It was so detailed, and I'm so happy with how it came out. Don't get me wrong, I love the end product so much. However, I spent so long sketching out these details, and most of them I covered up with the boxes anyway. It was just a whole shebang that I'm not anxious to ever do again, so I doubt I will ever be drawing this elevator door again. I cannot tell you at all what building this door comes from, but it was very Art Deco and pretty, and seemed to be relatively famous, so if you know what building this door comes from, please let me know. It's on an elevator somewhere in New York, I really hope. It came up when I googled New York, so we're gonna go with it. I think that's what it is. It was very annoying to paint, but I love how it looks, so I think it was kind of worth it. This is definitely the most detailed finances page I've ever had since I started doing this style of setup for it, and I love it, but it was annoying, and I am not eager to do it again. There is a reason I usually keep the finance page simple, and that is because most of it gets covered up anyway, so I do a lot of work for no reward. But I did get to use a fair amount of that gold again, and it was also incredibly annoying to work with. So it is kind of a lose-lose on this page, even though I do kind of love the final product. It was very time consuming and annoying, and I really want a really metallic pigmented gold paint, and I have yet to find it, and that makes me sad. If you have any recommendations in the comments, please let me know. I did use my gold gel pen for the finer details, and I went in even a little bit later on with the metallic marker highlighter gold pen that I have. I don't remember, I think it's like Recollections brand or one of the Michaels brands. I'm not sure. Pretty sure it's Recollections, but surprisingly it matched the gold a little bit better than I thought it would. I thought it would be much more of a green gold than it was. I am happy with the final product. I love it. I think it's metallic and gorgeous and Art Deco and pretty, but good lord was it annoying. This last page is my stats page, of course. I don't know the name of this building either. I definitely simplified it a lot for my purposes, mainly because I didn't feel like drawing out all those windows, and I also needed somewhere to write my stats, so I just decided to divide the quarter of the building into my sections to write my stats for the month. And I also ran out of storage on my phone, which is why the footage kind of cuts here, but I just put a bunch of gradients in the background because I thought it was pretty, and then I went in with my gold gel pen, and here we are at the final flip through. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video and me rambling about Art Deco and how annoying elevators are to draw. If you did, please be sure to subscribe because I post content roughly twice a week. You should like the video because it's easy, comment because it makes me smile, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys!